Okay, so good night, everybody. This is our last study group with the topic Sociolinguistics and Education. We are here with my classmates Daniel Cano and Eduardo Telles. So we're going to review this topic. As we've seen before, sociolinguistics cover all many aspects of the language and language learning. And now we're going to see how we can apply or how can these aspects affect in education. So let's move on our first question. So the lecture mentions an example that in a local school was not taking was taking in account their children's linguistics, proficiency, and educational needs. So I'm going to give a little context about the example. The kid name is Moira Lewis, who was 8 years old, and she lived in the city of Ann Arbor in the USA. Um, in her school, there was a lot of white children, but also some African American, some Asian people, and Latin people. So their mother has this fear about that his kid was not doing well in school. So she talked to the school and saw that the kids were not the problem, were the teachers that no, they didn't apply many educational needs. So after seeing this example, do you think that this problem is suffered in Chiapas, and how would you solve it as a future teacher? So, Daniel, what's your point of view on this?
Okay, I think that certainly this is happening here in Chiapas. I think that this happens uh from elementary school to university now. And well, I think it's a big problem because we can see both faces. First, we have a teacher that doesn't has only one student or two or three. We have teachers that are in charge of 10 groups of 20, 30 people. So we can see this part of, okay, the teacher may not have enough time or enough uh well, we know that it's not well paid. So I think that you make your effort, but you know that if this has a certain value. Okay, now we have the other phase, that is the student, the main student that we're talking, like in this example, and their partners. So maybe I would take help of more students, because I think that in some point of my life I will be in charge of many groups. And yes, of course, I want to help all of my students, and I would like to multiply myself and be one by one checking what are your needs, what do you need to learn better, or what's your background. But well, we are just one person by yourself. So I think that the main form that we can work with this is in group, like uh having some help with, I don't know, the chief of the group or some classmates, his or her friends. And in that part, in a group, helping each other to have this even cultural development and cultural like awareness from each other. And I think that when this happens, the form that this student will learn will be better.
Okay, that's a nice point of view, having this a group help. It's nice. So Eduardo, what do you think about this problematic? What is your point of view? Uh, Eduardo, can you hear me? I think your microphone is off.
Tengo un problemón. Está bien, ojete. Well, okay. In this situation, we have this specific context in which kids who are from a specific ethnicity that are Latins or Afro American people are like they don't they seem to not count for the teachers, and this is something that is happening right now, not only in Chiapas but in some other places of the country, and I think that in some other places in the world, because here in Mexico we have these thinkings that the black people, the people who has a skinny um color of her skin are like inferior people, and they are going to have problems understanding what teachers want them to do. But I don't think that that's the case. I think that um answering the question and how would I solve it, I would say that I think that we have to move to a to a context in which we can change all the structure of the education that is given right now. But as English teachers that work just in a classroom with some students, I think that the thing that we can do in this context is to treat them equal, just respect them as they are kids which who are intelligent and who can learn anything that we try to teach them. So and get away with this prejudices that we have.
Okay, nice, good point of view. So let's move now to the second question. So it says, as a future English teacher, what age do you consider is the best to start learning a second language? So remember, the lecture says two examples, kids and adults. But let's talk about kids, young learners, and adults. So what do you think, Daniel?
Well, I think that as sooner you can start learning, the better, because well, we have this neurological thing that is involving this ability of our brains that even you are younger, you have this ability to catch and to obtain and receive and like keep in your mind for a longer time this information, this knowledge, these skills. So I think that the earlier age that you can start learning a second language, it's better because you are like more you can get more fluency younger, and also you can learn it for a long term period of time.
Okay, good. So I want to hear the opinion of Eduardo. What do you think is the best age to start learning?
Okay, well, as a person who believes that anyone can learn something and it's never too late for learning something, I think that any age is the best to the age is not a real factor to learn a new language, but taking into considerations this neurological process that are very important with the development of the of the intelligence and the development of a human being, we have to take into consideration that while as soon as possible you can as soon as possible is better to start learning a new language, because as Daniel said, you can return more information, and you are not like aware of this process in a way that you are aware when you are more when you are adult, when you are older. I remember in the text Lenneberg says um that in the puberty is the best age, but in my opinion, in judging with personal experiences with some relatives has that speaks two languages, this is a very special case because they learn the two languages at the same time, and they speak um, Spanish and English, both language, in a very fluent way. And I think that this is amazing because they are like 5 or 6 years old, and they start learning both language at time. But in this case, I think that to learn a second language as a second language, knowing the first language is as soon as you can start, it's better.
Okay, good. I am agree with your statements because, as you mentioned, as sooner you start learning, you catch the information better. I have an example. I have a cousin with her her child. She's in the kindergarten and she's having this English class, and the teacher uses repetition, so she can understand some words, some vocabulary, and sing some songs to get better at pronunciation. It's not the level on B1 or B2, but it's starting to start reading and even speaking somehow. So I think that the best age for me, I think, is as a kid, as you mentioned before. So let's move on to the next question. So, how does the social context affect the learning of English as a second language in Mexico and Chiapas? By social context, I mean the neighborhood, the home, and even society. How does this affect while learning? Eduardo, what do you think?
Well, I think that it has um a a very big impact in why people learn or not learn a new language, because there are, for example, here in Chiapas, or even in Tonalá, that is the place where I'm from, there are people who can afford the the classes to learn a second language, and it's something like bad that I'm going to say, but in public schools, English is not taught in a good way. They are just with the same program for elementary school to secondary and high school. So it's like difficult to learn a new language in just with the public school educational system. Also, we have this this thinking of the people that English is useless in real life. They think that why am I going to learn English if I'm going to stay here in Mexico? But I think that more nowadays it's evident that we can take advantage of knowing English as a second language, because the globalization and the people who is living here from other countries, most of them speak English rather than Spanish. So I think that we have to change this way of thinking, and in order to be to be more efficient, and to, even if it's like hard to change the social context, we have to make an effort.
Okay, good. So, Danielle, how does the social context affect the learning of English?
Okay, I agree with Eduardo, with Eduardo was saying before. I had the privilege, the opportunity to start learning English in a private school when I was about 3 or 4 years old. So I can say that the social context that I was on that time really helped to me to to learn better English, because I was on this thing that when you are 3 or 4 years old, you don't even Spanish, so you are like learning both languages at the same time. So I think that for me and for my partners at that time was better, because we had this like dual construction of both languages. So it wasn't like, okay, I know Spanish and now I'm learning English. No, it was like, okay, I'm learning both of them at the same time. And also, the people that you get in contact to, it helps a lot, because I was like not only speaking English on classes, but also when I was on my free time. I had some partners that were from the US, that were from Canada, and well, they only at that time they only spoke English, sorry. So I had to make an extra effort to understand them and to speak with them. So yeah, I think that the social context really has a great impact. It could be good, it could be bad impact, but yeah, it's a really important factor to the development of this second language.
Okay, nice. And also, Eduardo mentioned something that catch my attention. It's the reject of learning English. This happens a lot, not only Chiapas, I think Mexico. They say that English is useless. Even their parents of many students say that English doesn't, um, it won't help you in a professional area or something like that. But due to globalization, it's really, really important. So let's move on to the next question. So, how does ethnicity affect learning English or another language today? Maybe in our context here in Chiapas or Mexico. How does it affect, Danielle?
Okay, this is sort of something that I want to make some research for my dissertation. And my my hypothesis is like it does have a a really big impact, because you have this thing that they have lack of oh, I forgot the word, lack of like they don't want to learn. You know, they don't have this motivation, lack of motivation of learning, because sometimes on their context is just okay, we have this family business and you're going to be in charge when you grow up. So forget to study, forget to learn something new, forget to even dreaming, and just focus on the business that we are running now. And you're going to start learning since you were a child how to manage this business. So it has a bad effect, I could say, not only in learning English, but I think on learning something, anything, because there are much people, because of their ethnicity, that they didn't want to study an BA or engineering or something like that. They just want to stop on secondary school, maybe high school, and that's it, because that's only the thing that they need. So I think that this lack of motivation, this thing that they don't feel like linked or connect to their culture, the US culture or England culture or Australia culture, uh it makes them like, okay, like Eduardo was saying before, I don't think that I will use this, or I don't need to use this. So yeah, I think that that's the way that ethnicity affects this.
Okay, good. So, Eduardo, what are your thoughts about this topic? What do you think?
Well, I think that ethnicity just not affect in the learning of another language. I think that it affects in the learning in general. We have some examples in our in our lives. Maybe when we go to buy goods, maybe I remember once I went to buy goods, fruits and you know, and there was this kid who, it was not a kid, it was an adolescent, but he was speaking with his mom, and he was saying like he was going to to desert from school. And I thought that it was, oh my God, but why do you take this decision? And he was saying like, oh, I'm going to be more in contact with the store, and I'm going to administrate the business, and I'm going to help you. And I think that it's something very common. We can observe this behavior in ranches, in farms, where the the sons prefer to run the farm without a profession. It could be as vets, veterinarians, or as engineers in something related to the camp. But I think that is this lack of interest, or this thinking of, I'm not going to study because I already have all that I need. What affects is not just ethnicity, because we are with ethnicity we are talking about all the context. Is more just like the pressure, the precise moment in which people are, and the situation in which they are. It's something more related to the social context. It's not just ethnicity. It in these decisions take part a lot of more factors.
Okay, thanks. So let's move on our last questions. So we already know how social linguistics works, how the many aspects of social linguistics affects the learning process. So the last question is, as a teacher or as a future teacher, how can you motivate your students to learn a second language or even English, taking into account their ethnicity, gender, and social class? Eduardo, what is your opinion?
Well, as I said before, I don't think that it matters. I think that all the thing that we have to see in our students is that they are students. They want to learn. They have this interest to learn something new. Uh, because as a teacher, I care about building a relation with them, but I don't care, even if it sounds like something bad, I don't care about their gender, their social class. They could be a rich kid or a poor kid or a kid that is with a scholarship learning in a career. I think that is that these things are irrelevant for me. I prefer to focus in the fact that they want to learn. They have this interest to keep pushing themselves.
Hey, nice, thank you. So Daniel, what's your opinion?
Well, I think that the key part here is the designing materials, because a good way to catch the attention of any student, doesn't matter the ethnicity, the gender, or the social class, is a good way of your materials, a good design of your materials, that you really have this on mind, that you have to make a good worksheet or a good presentation, and something that maybe relates their culture with the language, the target language that you're trying to teach. And yeah, I think that the way that I can motivate my students is to make them this aware, to be aware that their culture could be taught in another language, and their culture could be international, not only in Chiapas, not only in Mexico, but also they can grow further than that.
Okay, thank you. That's an interesting point of view. So this is the last question. So thank you for your participation, and that's that's it for the study group. Thank you.